Hi everybody, welcome back to this new video about LTX 2.3. Today I'm going to show you how to install and run LTX 2.3 using two different local workflows. One is Wan2GP and other is ComfyUI. Then I'll generate videos in both softwares using the exact same prompts and then compare the results side by side to see what the differences are. If you want to run LTX 2.3 locally on your PC, these are two of the most interesting options right now. Wan2GP is popular because of its low VRAM friendly approach, while ComfyUI gives you more modular control and workflow flexibility using its node-based approach. LTX 2.3 itself brings improvements in detail, prompt understanding, image to video, and audio video capabilities. So first we'll install and launch LTX 2.3 in Wan2GP. But first I want to let you know that for a fair comparison, I'll use the same prompt and the same target duration and the same FPS so that we can see the differences in quality using the same benchmarks. Now let's start with Wan2GP. Now, one of the biggest reasons people are using it right now is that it can make heavy video models easier to run on consumer grade GPUs, thanks to its aggressive VRAM management and offloading approach. Now, if you go to this page on GitHub, which is about Wan2GP, and scroll down, you will find instructions to install it. So what you need to do first is choose a folder. So let me break the screen like this for you. So first what you want to do, you want to choose a folder or the location where you want to install the Wan2GP. So I'm choosing this folder inside my E drive, and then I'm going to click on here and type cmd to open the command prompt. Now in this command prompt, what I'll do, I'll just copy paste these instructions. So first let's copy the first line, which is about cloning the Git repository of Wan2GP from the GitHub. Paste it here and then press enter. Now this will take a while, but it wouldn't be that long. Depending on how fast your internet connection is, this should be pretty fast. So this is done. Now if you go to your location, you can see it has created a folder called Wan2GP. Now let's change the directory and go inside this folder. So just do cd Wan2GP and press enter. Now you are inside the folder. Now what you need to do is you need to create a virtual environment before you do any installation of dependencies or downloading and running the models. This is important because when you create a virtual environment, it separates all the Python versions and CUDA and PyTorch in a localized environment. It does not affect it, and it is not affected by the versions that are involved on your system. Hence, it's the best approach to create a virtual environment. Now you're giving two options. You can go ahead with Python 3.10 or you can use Python 3.11 approach. So we'll go with the new approach. You can see the first two commands are exactly the same. Now what we'll do, we'll copy paste this command and run it by pressing enter. Now again, this will take a bit of a while and you have to press yes. There was a pre-existing environment within this folder which it asked to remove. So I said yes, this is removing, and now this will be creating a new environment. Just press enter. Just press Y and press enter, and this will take a bit of time to install all the dependencies that it needs to run Wan2GP, and there we go. Now this is done. Now the next step is to create a virtual environment. So what you need to do, you need to type conda activate and then followed by the name of the virtual environment that you want to give it. So I'm giving it the name Wan2GP, same as that is provided in the instructions. You could name it anything, but for the sake of simplicity, let's go with what is given and press enter. Now when you see before the command line in brackets the name of your virtual environment, that means you are now inside the virtual environment. Now you can use this command pip install torch and so on. This will install all the PyTorch and CUDA version and all the dependencies. Now this will take a bit of a time, but this will help you prepare for everything that you need to run Wan2GP on your system. I have already done that, so I'm not going to do it again, but I'll show you how to launch after all the installations are done. So this is the original folder for my installation of Wan2GP. Once your Wan2GP is installed, everything has been downloaded. What you need to do is again click in the address bar and type cmd, and here then you need to copy paste this command to run Wan2GP. So This is python2gp.py. Just copy paste it and press enter, and it will launch the Wan2GP interface. Now this is Wan2GP interface. Once you're done with all the installations, you should be able to successfully see this window. What you need to do on this drop down, when you click the arrow, you can see there are lots of models that you can run inside Wan2GP. Notice it includes Flux1, 2, Qwen, ZImage, Honian Video, and also includes earlier version of LTX and the current version LTX 2. So you want to choose LTX 2, and then you want to come to the next drop down, which will allow you to choose either the previous version, which was 2, or the current version, which is 2.3. So we will use 2.3, and then again in the next drop down, you can see you are given options of either you want to run the developer version of LTX 2.3, you want to use the distilled version. So remember, distilled developer version is more resource intensive and it has more unpredictability in terms of the results, the output video that you'll get. Distilled versions have about 80% of the information from the developer versions baked in them, so you will always get a better output in terms of video when you use the distilled version. However, developer version will provide you more variety in terms of the outputs compared to distilled version, where you tend to get some fixed results. Also, the beauty of Wan2GP is that it lets you download and run the GGUF versions for the low VRAM GPUs if you have a system that has low VRAM. So you can choose any of those. What I'll do, I'll demonstrate the distilled version, and then I will show you how to run GGUF inside ComfyUI. So what you can see is this user interface where you can use a text prompt only, or you can start video with an image. So if you click on this, you will be able to input an image, and based on which you can provide its prompt, and it will generate the video for you. So if you scroll down, this is the space where you can input your prompt. Remember, prompt needs to be a single paragraph and without any line breaks, because it considers each new line as a new prompt. So you need to essentially have a free-flowing paragraph of a single prompt. You have more options here, like any control video that you're interested in providing to it, or you want to generate video and soundtrack based on text prompt, or you want to generate video based on soundtrack and text prompt, or it has another variation where it says generate video based on control video plus its audio track and text prompt. So we'll keep it simple for this demonstration, and we'll use the generate video and soundtrack based on the text prompt. Now if you scroll down further, you can choose the resolution. You can choose as low as 480p to 1080p. So I'm leaving it for this demonstration to 720p, but remember, you could choose. Also, additionally, if you click here, you can see you can choose either a horizontal or a vertical video format. So you are provided both the options. For now, we are going with widescreen horizontal screen video format. So I think these options are enough. Once you have provided it a prompt and then click on generate, the first time you run a prompt, it takes about 5 minutes to load the model. Now, first time you enter your prompt and click generate, what it will do, it will download all the necessary models. So this is a snapshot because I've already done the downloading process. I want to show you it download loads of models. So you see it has downloaded models ranging from 26 MB to as high as 1.2 GB to you will also see a file of about 19 GB that it will be downloading. Now let me take you to the folder where it downloads on your PC. If you go to your Wan2GP folder, there's a folder which is called checkpoints, and here you can see it has downloaded all the VAEs, the embedding connectors, text embeddings, and then the distilled version of the X2.3 model. And because I also tested the GGUF version, it has downloaded this file. So you see the if you consider the overall size of these files, this is quite a huge download. If you remove this GGUF version, if you want to go with the distilled version only, you can expect a file size of about 28 GB. So with that all, I think the video quality that it generates is fantastic, and it's much better compared to the earlier version of the LTX. Now let's test a prompt. So I have provided Wan2GP LTX 2.3 a prompt which reads as a photorealistic cinematic shot in an enchanted forest at sunrise with tall ancient trees, damp moss, wildflowers, etc., etc., and then small fairies with realistic human-like faces and delicate, transparent wings fly naturally through the scene, hovering near flowers and drifting above the stream, and so on and so forth. So after pasting this prompt, I'll just click on generate, but before that I want to let you know that I am generating a 10-second long video. So my frame rate is 24 frames per second. So that means 1 second has 24 frames, and for a 10-second long video I'll need 240 frames. LTX 2.3 recommends that you add an extra second to whatever your total seconds or frames count is. So I have made it 241 frames, which then leads to a 10-second long video. So now let's click on generate and wait for it to produce an output. So I had a bit of a situation where something went wrong with Python and its various dependencies for Wan2GP, and it stopped running. So I had to run an update and fix the error, and now I'm back. So I've pasted the prompt and I'm using the resolution as 720p, and the video length is about 10 seconds. So with that, let's click on generate. So as I mentioned earlier, the first generation is always longer when you first time open the Wan2GP. So every time you close it and then open it, your first generation is going to take longer. So on my system with RTX 4080 Super, it took about 14 minutes to create this 10-second long video with 24 frames per second. So let's see how it turns out. So the forest does look natural. There are trees, but it can't be said as 100% photorealistic, as it seems like a fantasy environment. And tiny fairies do have translucent wings, but the detail is not enough to judge the natural skin texture. One thing I have noticed is if your videos have a longer duration, they tend to follow the prompt more accurately and adhere to it. In a 5-second long video, I noticed many features were missing. So I'm keeping the length of every video that I'm generating at 10 seconds. So let's now move to ComfyUI installation of GGUF version of LTX 2.3, which can be run at low video RAM. So if you go to the link provided in the video description, you can see a user named Unsloth has uploaded GGUF versions of all the model files that you would need. So it has versions for both the developer version of LTX 2.3, it has distilled version files, and then there are text encoders and VAE files. Additionally, you also have a gamma version of GGUF, which you will need to create the videos. So what you need to do is go down and download this sample video, which will create the workflow inside your ComfyUI. So let's first download it and then start your ComfyUI. So once your ComfyUI is up and running, what you need to do is drag that video sample file onto the ComfyUI, and this will create a workflow. Now don't be puzzled by the too many nodes. These will all make perfect sense. So let's follow the node by node to ensure you have all the files downloaded on your PC before you are ready to run it. If you look at the dual clip loader GGUF, you will need to download the GGUF version of Gamma, which you can download from here. So you have the file available here, and then you can click on download. And what you need to do is you need to go inside your ComfyUI folder and then inside the models, and there you double click on the clip folder, and then you can copy paste your Gamma GGUF file here. Now let's go to the second bit. Now the second clip file that you'll need is the embedding connector, which is a developer version of it. So remember, I am using the developer version of all the GGUFs. So again, you can go to this link, Unsloth, and then you can go inside the text encoders, and here you will find the developer as well as the distilled version of this embeddings connector. So I'll download this developer version, and then inside my ComfyUI folder, I'll go to again the clip folder, and then I can copy paste it here. So I've already have done that. Now, second, what you need to do is you need to download the gguf file, that is the actual model file of LTX 2.3. So you can see I'm using again the developer version, and this, if you look at the memory of it, I've downloaded the Q4 version, and if we go back and if you look at the size of it, it is about 14 gigabytes. So I have 16 gigabytes of video RAM, so I'm going to download this, and then again I'll go to the ComfyUI folder, models, and I'll go inside the unit folder, and there I can copy paste my file that I downloaded earlier. Now let's keep moving forward. If you look at the VAE files, you need two VAE files. One is the audio VAE and other is the video EA for LTX 2.3. And again, I'm going for the developer version. So if you go to the same link and you go inside the VAE folder, and there you will find both the audio and video VAEs for both the developer as well as the distilled version. So I've downloaded the developer versions. You can click here and download, and then inside the ComfyUI folder, models and VAE, you can copy paste both the files. So I've done that here. And two more things. This workflow, since we are using the developer version, it will allow you to use a LoRa, which can significantly decrease the video generation time. So you will need to download this LoRa, and another is a spatial upscaler, and you can find these both from someone named Lightrix on Hugging Face, and here you can see the distilled LoRa 386, and you can also download the spatial upscaler. And what you can do is, for the LoRa, you need to go inside the ComfyUI folder, models, and then LoRa, and then you can save your LoRa file here. And for the spatial upscaler, you can go inside latent upscale models, and here you can paste this LTX spatial upscaler 2-1.0 safe tensor. So notice this is about 1 GB file, just under 1 GB file that I've downloaded. So with that, you are ready. And before you execute your prompt, let me just show you the settings. So this is the total length of your video. So this again is 10 seconds, and you have to add 1 second at the end. This is your frame rate, which is 24 frames per second. And then this all feeds into the final video size of about 10 seconds. Now let's paste the prompt. Now this is the node where you need to paste your prompt, and remember one thing, this gives you the maximum token length. So the tokens are for the context window, and that depends on how long your prompt is in terms of length. So let's paste the same prompt in here, and then you can see the video size is here. You can see the height and width of it. So actually this is the video size. So again, this is 720p. So then you can click on run. And what I found about the videos generated by the gguf version inside ComfyUI, they tend to take longer, and each video generation at a 10-second length and at 720p resolution is about 10 minutes long in terms of its generation time. So I found it annoying a bit in terms of the time that it takes compared to Wan2GP, where your first generation is taking more than 10 minutes, but then after that, your every video generation is about 5 minutes long. So when you click on run, you will see that it will start generating the tokens. And I found this problematic in terms of memory management, as there's a lot of offloading towards your RAM from the video RAM. So as far as use of video 2.3 inside ComfyUI is concerned, I think it has more glitches and issues compared to when you do it inside the Wan2GP. Here you see it is now starting to generate tokens. Now this also again is a lengthy process, and then this is followed by the video generation. Hence it tends to be a bit longer in terms of its in terms of the time that it takes to generate videos. So I'm now gonna cancel it, and now I'm gonna show you the videos that I've generated both through Wan2GP distilled version and then the gguf version inside ComfyUI. So the purpose is to show you the difference in terms of quality between the distilled version and the gguf version of the LTX 2.3. Now for this video, I used a prompt which reads that photorealistic cinematic medium wide shot inside a compact modern kitchen at night. A woman in her early 30s wearing a pale blue sweater stands beside a white marble counter. On the counter, there's a red kettle, a green apple, a folded yellow dish towel, and a small black radio. Behind her, matte white cupboards are lit by warm under cabinet lighting, and rain is visible through a window above the sink. Now, she lifts the apple and places it carefully beside the red kettle, then turns slightly towards the rainy window and then she pauses and smiles softly and looks outside. The camera makes a slow, gentle push from medium to wide framing to a tighter waist up framing. Now, this is a calm domestic atmosphere, realistic indoor lighting, and subtle reflections on the marble. So let's play the video. You can see there is a red kettle, there's an apple, she places it beside the kettle, and there's a towel. She does smile, but she's not standing near the window and she's not looking through the window. The environment does seem warm and calm, and there are cabinets and there are subtle reflections on the kitchen countertop. So I would say this is pretty good, except for the part where she had to look through the window where it is raining outside. Now, this generation is through the digital version of LTX 2.3. Now you see all the color elements are there. She does pick up the apple and makes a strange movement and then places it besides the kettle. And there is a bit of something that looks like the rain. There are some drops, though they may not be accurate. Now, there is camera movement that we talked about in the prompt. The camera is framing in onto her just above her waist, but she's not looking through the window towards the rain outside. I would say these generations are pretty good. And if you look at the comparison between the distilled and the GGUF versions, the movement of her hands is a bit strange when it comes to the GGUF version, but overall I think it stands out pretty good. Now let's check the performance on the second prompt. The second prompt is about a full body photorealistic fashion commercial shot of an athlete man in his late 20s walking through a clean urban plaza during golden hour. He wears a fitted charcoal jacket, a white t-shirt, dark jeans, and running shoes. He walks steadily towards the camera with a smooth, natural stride, shoulders relaxed and posture balanced. He turns his head to the right as if noticing something off screen and briefly lifts his right hand to adjust his jacket collar while continuing to walk and he lowers his hand and keeps moving forward naturally. A light breeze gently moves the edge of his jacket and his hair. The camera tracks backward at eye level in stable full body framing, keeping his movement centered and realistic. Natural limb motion, believable weight shift, and correct hand anatomy. So let's look at it. I would say the colors of his jacket and his paint look okay to me. He does lift his hand, he does look left, but his movement is a bit glitchy when he lifts his right foot in between, and the movement is also cinematic and camera continues to move backwards while focused at the model. Now let's look at the same version from the GGUF. You can see he does follow all the prompts. He lifts his jacket with his right hand. He does look on his left. He is walking continuously towards the camera. Its camera is tracking him while moving backwards, but this does not look like a cinematic shot or video of a model. Though the person looks fit as if he is a model, but the shot isn't cinematic or doesn't look like it's being shot on a model who is displaying clothes as a brand. So I would say the only difference that stands out between the GGUF and the distilled version is the cinematic camera movement, which is prominent in the distilled version compared to the GGUF version. Now let's talk about the third prompt, which is about photorealistic cinematic close-up shot of a ceramic cup on a wooden table in soft morning light. A man's hand enters from the right holding a small transparent glass kettle which is filled with hot amber tea. The hand moves the kettle into position above the cup and the kettle slowly tilts and pours a continuous stream of tea into the cup. Steam rises naturally from the kettle spout and from the cup, and the tea level gradually rises inside the cup with small relative ripples during the liquid lands. The hand gently returns the kettle upright and places it back on the table beside the cup without sudden movement. The camera remains mostly static with a very subtle glow, slow push-in, and this is highly realistic reflections on the glass kettle and clear wood grain and soft natural shadows, quiet room ambience, and delicate tea pouring sound. Now let's look at the result from LTX 2.3 distilled version. The hand does move from the right. It pours in a tea, the steam is rising, but you can't see the level of tea inside the cup. Hence, you can't comment on the reflections. The kettle does have reflections. It gets placed onto the table after the tea is poured. There are reflections on the cup itself. There is wood grain on the table, and there is a soft morning glow light. Not sure about the hand movement after it has done pouring the tea, but I would say this is a pretty good shot. Now let's look at the GGUF version and you would realize the difference is remarkable. Now this is the version that is generated by the LTX 2.3 GGUF. It does pour in the tea and places the kettle back onto the table, but the shape of the kettle is a bit strange. You can see number of fingers is a bit odd when the kettle is being placed onto the table. Cup does look ceramic, but the reflections aren't as prominent as in our earlier video, but you do see the reflections on the tea in the cup, and you can see the table texture is a bit too artificial compared to the results from the earlier video. So I would say the video from the distilled version is clearly better compared to the one from the GGUF version. Now, last but not the last prompt, where we are asking LTX 2.3 to generate extreme close-up photorealistic luxury product shot of a wristwatch resting on a dark walnut surface under controlled studio light. The watch has a brushed steel case, a deep blue dial, polished silver hands, engraved hour markers, and a brown leather strap with visible stitching. The camera begins a slow, elegant macro slide from left to right, revealing the steel case edge and the leather strap texture. The watch face remains the focal point and showing crisp engraved markings, clean reflections on the glass, and subtle highlights along the metal edge. The camera completes this slide while keeping the dial sharply in focus and the background softly is blurred. Fine details must remain stable throughout, that is metal reflections, leather grain, stitching, dial markings, polished hands, and etc. etc. So let's now look at the result. The camera remains as said, the face of the watch in the center, and there are the straps. There is shiny reflections, there is finer detail, problem the numbers and the text on top strap seems a bit more when the camera movement is. Now let's look at the result from the GGUF version. There is some clear problem with the watch handles, and you can't see any clear leather structure onto the straps. The camera is way too close to the wristwatch, the face of the wristwatch. And again, the problem is same between the distilled and the GGUF versions, that it has problems reading the numbers and the text accurately. So this is it, and this is a comparison between 2.3 distilled version and the GGUF version. I hope you liked the video. Let me know your thoughts and comments in the comment section below, and I'll also share your experience of how you found the GGUF version versus the distilled version. Did you run it locally on your PC, and what were the results? So this is it for this video. I hope you found it helpful. I'll see you in the next video. Do like this video, share it with your colleagues, and subscribe to my channel. Till then, bye bye.